This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Jeff Gardner.
Welcome to another episode of the Good Neighbor Podcast. Today we have another good neighbor on, Andrea Spyropoulos with Home Instead. Andrea, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah, looking forward to the conversation to learn more about what Home Instead is. We had a little chat in the pre-show, and I am interested. So let's start off right at the top, Andrea. What is Home Instead? What do you do?
So we are a home care company, and we have our team of caregivers, personal support workers, and nurses on our team. And we go into the home, wherever home is, for our clients. And we create a personalized care plan for each individual that we see. So we really match them up and figure out who would be the most compatible with that client. So we take into account the personality, the needs, their home situation, if they have pets, if they have somebody that's dear to them that's living in the same home. And we figure out who would be the absolute best match for them, who would be the most compatible, who would they really, truly get along with, and who would they have an absolute blast with, because we want to make sure that somebody is very comfortable with the person that they're coming into their home, and making sure that it's a vulnerable spot, but we want to make sure that they're able to actually feel very, very comfortable, just like they're a part of the family. And to us, it's very, very personal. And we want to make sure that they have that.
I think it's a fantastic service. So is this people of all different walks of life? I imagine a lot of them are seniors, a lot of them maybe nearing the end of life, disabilities, things like that, just needing an extra hand around the house,
Yes.
Around their home, wherever it is.
Absolutely. So even for just popping in for companionship, a lot of times we see people who are very lonely, very depressed because they haven't been going outside. They're inside a lot. I find that COVID really did take a toll on a lot of different people, especially for seniors, because everybody was in their homes. So even when it comes to retirement homes, long-term care homes, nobody was able to get out and socialize. And we're social creatures. We need that opportunity to go out and talk to people and socialize and share stories. And not everybody was able to do that. And that was the biggest thing for companionship. We would be able to go in, play even a board game. I find euchre is the biggest thing. A lot of people play euchre, and just to be able to go in and participate in some sort of game, whether it's chatting with a cup of tea, playing a game, making some food, even just hanging out with them and their pets. That was something that was huge. And same thing for just a home helper. So somebody to be able to come in and do some light cleaning around the home, maybe some laundry, bending down for their laundry to bring it upstairs, or even just taking care of meals for breakfast, lunch, and dinner throughout the day. That was something that was huge. Mm-hmm.
And do you guys handle the medical side of things as well?
Yes. So we are medical and non-medical. So we have our nurses on our team, and our nurses are mainly there for wound care, for catheter care, diabetic care. And we also provide nurse-directed care as well. So when somebody's needs do end up changing and they have this caregiver that is absolutely amazing, they're just part of the family, and maybe there's oxygen that is now a part of their care plan, then our nurse will actually come in and train that care pro and that client one-on-one to make sure that they are able to provide those services with that person. And that is never something that's transferable. So they have that training for that one group. Mm-hmm.
Lovely. So helpful in this day and age. I think of my grandmother, who is 92, very resistant to help, but this is something that I would love to get her. We had, is it PSW? Is that the right word? Right acronym?
Yes. PSW.
Yeah. So we had and what does that stand for? Personal support worker, I believe.
Personal support worker. You got it.
Right.
You got it.
And so we had a woman come in and help my grandmother for a bit. She's just a very stubborn woman. She wants her independence. And yeah, this would be a perfect service for her. But
Yes.
so there's not much that you guys don't do. You'll even do some cleaning, some laundry, some food,
Yes.
companionship. You'll do the medical side of it and do your, did you call them care pros?
Yes, so we call them care pros because they are truly care professionals. So a lot of people that we see, this is their career. This is what they've built their lives on, helping people and making sure that people are independent in their own homes. Especially for me personally, I come from a European background, and a lot of people that are in my family actually came from Greece and immigrated from Greece. On my fiance's side, there were people who immigrated from Portugal as well. So when they come here from a different country and they invest all the money that they have into one home, a lot of times they like to keep that home because that home is everything that they've built for, everything that they have, everything that they've invested in. This is their life. This is their legacy that they want to leave to all their children and their children's children, so that they have something to remember them by. And when certain people do have other needs, like making sure that they're able to go to the bathroom and take showers when their needs do change, sometimes long-term care and retirement really isn't an option for somebody. It all depends on what everybody wants in life. Some people do want to retire in the comfort of their own homes, and some people would like to retire in a retirement home. There's very different people. There's lots of different personalities. And it's really, truly an honor to go into somebody's home when it's been their home for the longest time. It's the same chair that they've sat in for 60 years. You see their whole family tree all around them with pictures and memories and legacies all around the home. And it's an honor to see that. It really is.
Yeah, I find that human beings are just fascinating creatures, and different stages call for different needs. And I love that you guys answer them in many of those stages. So what do I want to ask here? What does it look like? Does somebody come in the morning, stay for 3 hours? Do they stay for the day? Do they sleep over? Like, what is the typical situation?
So typically, we'll be there for around a couple of hours, usually around 10 hours a week. But it all depends on what we see in the care consultation that we go for. So we take care of overnight care. We take care of live-in care. If somebody needs to be there overnight and in the morning, we'll make sure that somebody's there while they're awake, and making sure that there's no safety hazards around. Especially for palliative care towards end of life, we want to make sure everybody is very, very comfortable, and that they have and get anything that they need. Even when it comes to music is something that is huge. It brings back memories. It brings back smiles. I know even for Shania Twain is a big hit for country fans. So just playing Shania Twain for a little bit, just to give them a little smile, making sure that they have something that they remember and gives them happiness for those moments towards end of life care. But we do it all. It could be either short term, long term, especially for those who have been in an accident. So we are providers for motor vehicle accidents. We do direct billing, and something that we see mostly is are people who have been in a major accident that are really looking to have that rehabilitation in the comfort of their own homes, and making sure somebody's there to provide that extra motivation and an encouragement to do those activities and exercises that they need in order to rehabilitate and stay independent.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic stuff. One of the questions that comes up right in my head, which I imagine the audience will be thinking as well, because I imagine a lot of people would want this or feel like their parents need it or whatever the case is, but there's definitely a need out there. for this type of work, the first thing that comes up into my mind is when you said average 10 hours a week, it just popped up into my head. Like, is this $100 an hour? What kind of cost can we expect from this type of service?
Right. So for us, we pay our care pros very, very well because, like I said, this is their career, and we offer pay depending on where they're at as well. So I would say for an average of 10 hours a week, we give 41.80 for our price range per hour. And when it comes to overnight care, more than 12 hours or live-in, then we reduce that price down to $39 an hour. And we want to make sure that somebody has that continuity of care. So they're paired up with that one main care pro for each client that we see, and two backups, because of course there's people who get sick, there's people who go on vacation. Somebody needs to be there that they know and they trust, whether it's their favorite, their number 2 favorite, or their number 3 favorite. But we want to make sure that they have people that they know and they trust, who come in to see them. And there's not 10 different care pros that are coming in. There's one main one and 2 backups. But one thing that we see the most of as well are veterans. So we are Veterans Affairs providers and Green Shield providers. So meaning that we do direct bill for veterans and for benefit plans that fall under Green Shield as one of those insurances.
What is Green Shield? Is that an insurance provider?
Yes. So Green Shield is an insurance provider. So everybody has a different benefit plan, and some do cover home care, which is incredible. To be honest with you, I wish that every single benefit plan should have home care on their benefit plan, because we work all of our lives, and throughout the last few years, or however long it is, I kind of wish that was something that was given back, but you can't wish for everything.
It's not there yet, but
Not
it's nice
there
that there are some insurance providers that are offering it. So anywhere from 39 to 42 bucks essentially per hour. Does that cover the whole suite, the gambit of what you guys offer? So from medical to anything?
So the only thing that does not cover is our nurses. So we have an RN and RPN. They are a little bit more expensive, especially because they have all that training, the full training to provide that care, for wound care, for catheter care, for diabetic care, anything that is more medical. And that is something that we do offer at a higher price. But for the $41.80 and $39, that offers somebody the opportunity for companionship, for a home helper, for personal care, for live-in. That's everything that we cover for non-medical services.
And for an RN, that's a registered nurse?
Yes.
And RPN, what does the P stand for?
Registered practical nurse. Yes.
And what's the difference?
I would say the biggest difference is medication. They both have different scopes of practices, but they can always provide nurse-directed care as well for individuals who fall under the caregiver and PSW bracket.
Beautiful. Well said.
Yeah.
I'm interested in your journey a little bit, coming into home instead. I love the stories behind us humans. There's always some enriching information when you open up that book. How did we get to where we are now? What brought you into this world of caring for other people?
Of course. So when I was younger, I have always had a very positive personality. I have battled a lot of mental health in the past. At a very early age, when I was around 13, I started battling depression, anxiety, and there would always be this, I guess, the angel and devil on the back of on your shoulders, telling you to take the long way or take the short way, go the high road or just not go the high road. It's always a battle, especially when I do have that positive mindset. I always want to make sure that I I'm treating everybody the way that I want to be treated as well. So at that very early age, I really wanted to make a difference. I wanted to impact somebody. I wanted to be that positive spark that somebody has in their life, because I had mine. I had my mom. My mom was battling a lot when she was young, and she was a single mother. She took care of this big house on her own. She took care of her kids on her own, and at that moment, I had so much stuff that I was dealing with. I had no idea what she was going through, and she was battling a lot on herself. She was battling her stresses. She was battling a messy divorce. She was battling an abusive relationship. She was battling a lot. And for me, I didn't realize how much she did until later on in life, where I truly asked her about it. And I asked her about what she had to go through. So for me, I've always wanted to make sure that I'm that positive person that helps somebody get through what they need to get through. And as soon as I came out of high school, I started looking for social service work. I got my social service worker diploma, and I still didn't know what I wanted to do. So I worked in the restaurant industry a little while. I connected with the community. I tried to figure out what I wanted to do, and my grandmother started to get sick, and she started to get depressed because she was in her home alone. We did end up moving her into a retirement home, and from that retirement home, I made it my goal to make sure that she was motivated. She would get up, she would socialize. I would take her downstairs to where the music was. I would play her favorite songs. Shania Twain is one of her favorite songs, by Shania Twain. It was like a party going there. I wanted to just seeing her bright smile as soon as you played Shania Twain was the highlight of my day and the highlight of everybody's day. So just to be able to go in there and be that spark, that's what I strive for. That's what I'm passionate about. Just seeing that light go off, and seeing that pride and that passion come back when it's been dug deep for a long time. So, I made friends with everybody that was there, 5 times the age for me, but it was fun. It was exciting. I motivated a lot of people in order to come up and be a part of this community. So from there, I thought, you know what, this would be amazing to actually do this for a living. So I applied to be a caregiver, and I absolutely loved it. I loved to play puzzles with those with dementia and Alzheimer's. I loved hearing the spicy stories from veterans. I loved hearing about their legacies from way back when they were a teacher 40 years ago. And that was my passion. And I began to enjoy that. I began to listen and hear every story that everybody had, and I took a little piece with me through every client that I saw. And from there on, then I continued with that path.
And so were you it's a beautiful story, by the way. I love the journey of humans. It's just always very fascinating.
Everybody has a journey, right?
That's it. And my real study of it, it may not seem like it from marketing, but I think you could use this for any business, really, is human potential. That's my study. I'm an addictions counselor on the weekend at a great facility called Cornerstone Recovery. Fitness is a big part of my life, doing hard things, running a business. Human potential, I think, is, as far as I'm concerned, pretty much unlimited. So that is my study. So to learn the story of people is always very fascinating for me. So when you became a caregiver, right? Is that what you consider yourself?
Yes. So for me, I wasn't necessarily a personal support worker, but I was a social service worker. So I had that background in motivating, in redirecting, in and encouraging for social interactions, and making sure that somebody had that companionship, no matter where it was or how it was.
And then how did that lead into doing what you do now, what is your role technically title wise?
So my title is community service representative. So I switched my role into working with the community. For me, as you know, I'm a very positive person. I care very deeply about the people that I see, and I wouldn't be in this field if I didn't. But in this field, it's also very overwhelming when people do end up past, because most people that we do see are seniors, and you get connected and you are personal, and it is personal because you're going in there for people who are vulnerable and who really do need you in their home. And so you do get connected, you do get personal, and no matter what happens, you still have that little deep cut that happens when somebody does pass away, and somebody takes a little chunk of you each time. So I did enjoy reaching out to the community a little bit more. I took a shot for reaching out and sharing our resources throughout the community, and that's how that ended up happening. Yeah.
So you are the kind of the loudspeaker from Home Instead to the rest of the community. You handle the outreach. You let people know that Home Instead exists and what it does.
Yes.
Okay. I like it. Let's give the audience a little bit of education. So we like talking about myths and misconceptions. I provide a little bit of context with this question typically because, just because I have information inside my head does not mean it's optimal information. I mean, I use the metaphor for the seatbelt. Before we knew the value of seatbelts, we didn't wear seatbelts. And that's an example of, by not wearing a seatbelt, your risk is so high for something catastrophic. If you give me good information that leads me to wearing a seatbelt, God forbid I get in an accident, but because you told me about the value of seatbelts, I'm now wearing one, getting in an accident, my life is saved. That's how impactful quality education can be. So in every facet of life, I believe there's myths and misconceptions out there. What are some myths and misconceptions that you commonly butt up against in your industry that you could help clarify for the audience?
I'm not too sure about myths, but for misconceptions, the biggest thing is that a lot of people think that you have to be a senior in order to receive care. So, like I said a little bit earlier in this podcast, we do see people who are in their 20s, in their teens, that come in through a work injury, a personal injury, a motor vehicle accident. There's always going to be something that happens in somebody's life that they might need that extra support for. So when somebody comes out from a hip surgery or a knee surgery, that doesn't necessarily mean that somebody needs to be a senior in order to get hip surgery and get knee surgery. There are people who have had that for years and years, where they're in their 20s and their teens, and they need hip surgery, they need knee surgery, they need leg surgery, they need a major surgery, where they come home and suddenly making food is a lot harder. Bending down to clean cat litter is very, very hard. You try even changing your shirt when you have broken ribs. How are you able to do that, no matter what age you are? Like, there's a lot of services for people that are below the age of 80, where people might need some extra support. Whether it's to make some meals, again, clean the cat litter in the winter when it's super, super cold out and it's icy out, and you are in crutches. Maybe it's somebody to come in and just walk the dog. Like, there's so much that we can help with. And a lot of people think that it's just for seniors, for home care, but really it's not. Anybody can get that support, no matter what age. And anybody can benefit from that.
I didn't think of that. I broke both my legs and my ribs. What? And you were saying both you said putting your shirt on with broken ribs can be difficult. Yes, it is.
Yes.
And walking around with crutches is difficult. So can you guys drive as well? Like I was thinking
Yes.
about that when you brought up the injuries. When I had my busted leg, even though I was much younger and I was in my parents' home, they worked, right? So they were gone at that time. I was in my early 20s, and driving was, well, I just didn't do it. I just got cabs and it sucked. And
Yeah.
it was costly, and it was hard to rely on, and I missed appointments, et cetera, et cetera. So you guys do drive if that
Yes.
was needed.
Yes, so we provide transportation for medical appointments or even for personal appointments, whether it's to get your nails done, get your hair done. We'll probably do that too if that's if that's something that we can join in on. But we definitely do provide those transportation services. So what happens is that our care pros they receive their 6A insurance. So they're able to take clients in and out of their vehicles. The one thing that we're unable to do, but we always refer to a different services around the community is for wheelchair accessible. So some of pretty much all of our caregivers, they mainly just have a car, and so sometimes the wheelchair, if it could be a wheelchair, but really for those who have their motorized wheelchairs and they're not able to transfer in and out of their chair, then we will refer out to a different company to take care of that trip. But most of our caregivers do have that capability for those who are able to transfer in and out of their chairs to take them to those appointments, and also just to live life and enjoy whatever it is that they really want to do. So for hair appointments, for nail appointments, whether it's to go to the beach and take a look at some birds, bird watching. I remember a client of mine, it was a big thing for bird watching. He had his binoculars on and he just wanted to watch the show, and it was really cool. He had his own book for all the different types of birds that he saw and he would check them off no matter what type of bird it was. So no matter what it is, what that personality is like, just to be able to go outside and enjoy some sunshine or whatever it is that they would like to do, that's something that we can help with 100%.
Yeah, I think it's a great service. I love it. I appreciate you clarifying that for us, especially with the younger folks, because it's something that I didn't think of.
Yes.
Getting into you a little bit, what puts a smile on your face outside of your work? What do you get up to for fun? You said you were engaged. You talked about your family a little bit.
Yes.
What does Andrea get up to?
So my biggest thing is I do like to entertain. I'm a little bit of a nerd when it comes to board games. So I have a collection of, I think, 30 different board games. Some of them are very, very old. I'm the biggest nerd when it comes to all the different board games, but I love making people laugh. I love making our home available to all our friends and all our family, and just to participate in some sort of game with everyone. And it's funny because my biggest thing is having a different board game almost every other month. So whenever somebody comes in and they take a look at our big, huge bookshelf of board games, there's always one more that gets added onto it. But I would say that's my biggest happiness, is just playing games with family, playing games with friends. And I'm also very excited when the water temperatures start to go up a little bit, because then I get to paddleboard. So I just started taking up paddleboarding last year. It's just such a relaxing opportunity to get on the water and literally feel like you're walking on water when you're going around and paddling. So it's like a surfboard, and you're standing on it, but you're paddling at the same time. So it's nice and relaxing.
Where do you do that?
So I actually am very fortunate. I live very close to the water at near Johnson's Beach in Barrie,
Mhm.
and usually we're there just trying to get our paddle boards out. And I haven't made it to the other side of the beach yet, but that is my goal to paddle board from one beach to the other, and also just hanging out in the sun. I need my tan.
Yeah, me too.
So you know what? For me, I'm Irish and I'm Greek, but I did not get my Greek side for my complexion, unfortunately. I got all the freckles in the world, but not not the nice Greek tan skin. But that's
Yeah,
okay.
you got the Greek
Yeah,
hair,
I do.
you got the Greek features, but I think you got the Irish complexion.
Yes, exactly. You get what you get, even for weather. Weather's weather, whether you like it or not, right?
That's it. That's it. Now, talking about hard things, I alluded to that at the beginning. I think you read the questionnaire. This is one of my favorite questions, and it's about hardships, trials, and tribulations in our life. And why do we want to talk about it? I simply just think sometimes I give these long, blown out piles of context before this question, but I'm just going to simplify it. I think that we learn much more through our challenges and our failures than our successes.
Yes.
I would say that is the truth. But out there in society, we only share our successes in many cases. That's it. I share the boat, the car, the great looking family, our trips, our successes. That's all we want people to see. And I think that's misled because those are great things, but we learn so much from our challenges. I think we find out what we're capable of when we go up against something that we can't solve right now, a test that's too hard for me. And I learn a little bit on that try, and then I go back and I try again. You learn about the resiliency of human beings, the value of perseverance and grit. And you get a lot of meaning and purpose by, trying to trudge up a mountain that's very difficult. I mean, you got to have a strong meaning to go up something that hard. So we like to ask the guests that come on the show, are there any trials, tribulations, personal or business, that you've been through that probably sucked in the moment, probably didn't feel that good, as hard as a symptom, and it's usually not comfortable. But when you
Right.
look back at it in hindsight, you wouldn't remove that ingredient that makes you who you are because it's led you to living the life you enjoy today. Anything come to mind?
Yes, actually, for the first few months of my new role, and in the process in transferring my skills to my new role, I lost three people. So I lost my grandmother, my step grandmother, and my great uncle, and they each had a very wonderful part in my life. I just did not expect it to happen three times within 4 months or 3 months. And it in those moments, it really felt like, wow, really, there's more and more that keeps on happening, and I don't know what's going on. It's like the world just feels like it's attacking me right now because there's so much negative stuff that's happening. And like I said earlier, I'm a very, very positive person. So when something negative happens for me in the past, I try to suppress it, and that is probably the worst thing that you can do when something's really truly bothering you. So through the first 3 months and three deaths in my new role, I was really struggling to suppress it, and I think that was actually a good thing because we're all human, and whether things happen or not, it is true that life still goes on. But you're not, nobody's a robot, nobody's perfect. You Sometimes you have to really truly feel the roller coaster of emotions that happen. Whatever you feel, just feel them. Like when it's that anger, feel it. And I remember when I was going out with my best friend. We were just hanging out, having a good time, and suddenly I saw my grandmother's face just it just happened. It was a memory. And I randomly started crying. And we were just talking about, I don't know, last year when we were at a barbecue, and I just started crying. And I apologized. And I always apologize when I feel upset, when I don't have that positive Andrea that everybody expects, you know? Um, I always apologize. And then she looks at me and she says, "Why are you apologizing for being human and feeling whatever you have to feel? Don't apologize." And I apologized again because that's just who I am, right? I apologize, and she said, "What are you doing? Don't apologize. Just feel whatever you have to feel." So for me, it was a lot to deal with for those first few months. It's still a little bit to deal with because it was the most deaths I've ever seen in 3 months, and especially when I have this new career and this new role, I felt pressured, and I felt pressured to be that positive person that I've always been. And no matter what happened, I kept on feeling like, no, I can't feel this way. What's wrong with me? And you're overthinking how to feel. So I think that was my biggest struggle, just seeing those 3 deaths and also going through those emotions and just genuinely feeling them and not suppressing them, and being able to feel whatever I felt and not thinking about the repercussions of showing those emotions, right? And I don't know if I don't think I'm alone for that either. I think that that's a big thing that a lot of people have felt in the past, are still feeling, where they're scared to show that emotion. They're scared to show vulnerability and show that they're a human no matter what it is. And I think that's got to change for a lot of people. But everybody's got to feel the roller coaster of emotions no matter what it is, and just go for the ride and feel those waves.
Well, first off, I can see the emotion in your face, so thank you for sharing that with us, because I imagine that was not easy. What do you think the main lesson was from that? Or one of them? One of them. What are your main takeaways
One,
from art experience?
so I would say one main lesson would be just to be honest with yourself and honest with your emotions. Yeah. And just to feel it no matter what it is.
It's interesting that it's so hard for so many of us to just feel, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why we default to suppressing it. It's like if I cry in front of my buddies, I have this feeling that I will make them uncomfortable. And that's more important than me being in tune with my body and what it's going through. Human beings are interesting. Some of the stories we tell ourselves to not do this or to not do that. Some of the stories we tell ourselves are very beneficial, but some of them are not as beneficial. And that would be one of them. You are feeling things for a reason.
Yes.
I'm not, what I tell the people, especially on my team, as our job comes with a lot of pressure. So there are a lot of emotional days. And at the addiction center on the weekend, is you don't need to necessarily act on how you feel. If I get angry and I want to punch something, doesn't mean I need to punch something, but I am feeling that for a reason. And to ignore that, it's probably not the best answer.
Mm-hmm.
You're really sad for whatever reason, you don't understand why. And rather than digging into those uncomfortable feelings, you avoid them. They're probably just going to build.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to go away. I look at them as warning signs on the dashboard of your car, right? Like when you get the red flashing sign, it's what your body's telling you. Something is going on here. Pay attention to it. At least become aware of it.
Yes.
So I think those are some good points, and I appreciate you bringing us in on that painful journey that probably resonates with many, many people. All of us have experienced death, and there's many different ways to grieve and experience it. But I think by hearing these stories from one another, we can learn how they went through it and how that could benefit us. So I appreciate you sharing that, Andrea.
And I think, you know what, a lot of people have gone through a lot, but we don't see that as well. Just like I said before, I am a very positive person, but you can't see what I've been through just by looking at me. You talk about it, you understand, you share. And some people are not okay with sharing, and that's okay too. But I think we also have to take into account that everybody has a story behind them, no matter what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, how much we can better ourselves by speaking and listening to others. There often is this feeling of aloneness being a human, but it's just not fact. It's just so far from fact. Most of us are rarely experience an experience so unique that nobody else has ever experienced it before. I have not come across that in all of my 37 years.
Wow.
Somebody out there has experienced what you're likely going through. And by just having a conversation, even if they don't have the answer for you, but they can listen and be like, yeah, I went through something similar. It has this layer of comfort, but it takes away a layer of isolation. COVID was an example of the amount of aloneness that was out there, yet we're all going through it. So get on video, get on the phone, talk to somebody. You're choosing to stay alone. I don't think it's fact. So I appreciate that.
Of course. Thank you.
Back to your business. There's so much information that you guys have in-house that the audience doesn't have, right? This is one of the complications for all businesses is a lot of business owners would say, if you only knew what I knew inside my mind, you'd buy what we have, right? That's often the case is we know so much as marketers. When I'm talking to somebody, I'm like, I can't believe you don't get this. Do you not see the benefit that it would create for you? But maybe they just heard that word a year ago, 6 months ago, where we've been studying it for 15 years. So It's hard to distill all the information that you have within you to your audience. But if there was one thing to distill down from the top that was really impactful for your audience to know about home instead, what would it be?
I would say one thing is the fact that all of our consultations are at no cost. So even when it comes to just making sure somebody's there to assess the home, making sure there's no health concerns or safety hazards all around. A lot of times we see people who have been living in a very rough situation for a long time, but it's until we bring something up that they notice that there is a problem. Whether it's electrical cords all over the home, the stairs are slightly broken, or there's hoarding that's been going on for a while that we need to address. There's always a benefit in having somebody, a professional, come in and take a look and see what other resources that we can help you with, no matter if it's home instead or addressing an issue in the home. There's always a benefit that comes to making sure that somebody's okay and just addressing certain situations for that. So I would say the biggest thing is the fact that care consultations are free. So there's no charge for it. If somebody can come in and say, hey, you know what? If you really need a cleaner, I've got your back. I know somebody who can take care of that for you. No problem. And even if it's something that we cannot take care of, we'll make sure that there's some sort of solution that we can bring to that table. So I think that will benefit somebody no matter what is going through that person's home, right?
Beautiful. I agree. Now, this question I don't put on the questionnaire because I don't like when people script it. I find that the more authentic answer comes out on the spot. So I told you my passion in life and my study in life is human potential. What are we capable of doing? It seems limitless, but a real part of this formula, I believe, is to consider what your impact is as a human being, because we are all connected in some way. Everything I'm doing or not doing is affecting somebody else in some way. I believe that. So I was very lucky to have some great mentors in my life. One of them in my early 20s, she taught me to be very intentional about my impact, to consider it. what has been your impact up to this point? I was 21, 22, 23 at the time. I was not considering my impact. I was living a pretty selfish life, just wanting to do things, girls, cars, parties, that kind of stuff. I was a young, foolish man, right? 21 in college. But once she planted that seed, now I could not think of it anymore. And she was the first one to tell me that, you're stamped with an end date, but you don't know when it's going to come. So if you're considering your impact, you want to leave a good one, start thinking about it now. So she basically taught me, reflect on your impact up to this point. And if you're here tomorrow, be intentional about your impact tomorrow, because you don't know if you'll be here the next day. Don't waste it. And for however long you are here, how much, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, what do you want the net result of your impact to be? Some people consider this a question about legacy, like how will people feel about me after I'm gone? And they can take it that way. That's their choice. For me, it's not about after I'm gone, because I won't be here. I won't be here to know. I want to know about my impact now. How is this conversation going with Andrea? What is the net of Jeff in this world right now? What is the ripple effect? So we like to ask the guests on the show. Andrea, what would you like your impact to be?
My impact to be. So I've always wanted to impact people in my life. I've always wanted to be the reason for somebody to make a change in their lives. I think the biggest thing is making sure that people are aware that there's something going on behind that face. So I have been involved in social service work in my past, and I've gotten into this field because I wanted to make an impact. I would say just making sure that somebody is heard, no matter what it is, and understanding that there shouldn't be any judgment when you see somebody. So for people who are angry, people who are you're not too comfortable with, there's a reason for everything. There's a reason why somebody has that emotion and shows that side of them. So I would say it's a hard question. I would say the biggest impact that I would want to leave, I don't know about legacy or now. I do feel like right now would be the best time for people to remember me as somebody who has always given them the time of day to explain themselves or hear what they have to say. I always want to make sure that I'm never judging somebody, because people have judged me in the past for always looking like I was always positive when nobody knew my backstory. Nobody knew what I had to deal with. So I want to make sure that people never feel like that from me. I would say that's my biggest thing. And to have that positive impact no matter what somebody's going through, and to feel like they've been heard by me. I would say that is my biggest thing. I don't know if that really answers the question. Like you said, you put me on the spot. But that's okay. You do want a very authentic answer, so I can understand why.
No, I think that was a great answer. And considering you're in the world of caring for others, you are absolutely having an impact already. I don't know how old you are, but you've been having an impact for as long as you've been alive. And, that answer, at least to me, takeaway is that you're in the right industry. Because listening to people, making sure that they're seen, they're heard, that they're important in some way, and not judging is a very difficult thing for human beings to not do. And it's a wonderful thing when it doesn't happen, when people just don't make that quick 10-second judgment, walk to the other side of the street. They're actually interested in learning about another human being, giving them the time and space. It's a very comforting thing from human to human. So kudos to you. I think that's a great impact. And it's been a pleasure chatting with you. Before you go, how can we find out about Home Instead if people want to reach out?
So I would say visit us at 11 Lakeside Terrace, or give us a call. Another thing that we see is our social media. So on our social media, we have all these cool events that we go to. I am a community service representative by day and also a popcorn provider by night, because there is also, so June is also Seniors Month for anyone who isn't too sure about that. So for the month of June, what we do is to share our support and hear all those amazing stories from all the seniors in that in Barrie. What we do is that we bring popcorn. We give out some free popcorn on every Friday for the month of June between 11 and 2 o'clock at the very front of our medical building. So that's what we do. So if anybody does ever want to pop in on a Friday during the month of June, get some free popcorn, hang out a little bit, share your stories, have a chat, then that's one thing that you can do as well. And
Wonderful.
cheers to being a senior. I'm not there yet, but
no, I think you got a few years to go. So what's the website?
The website for Home Instead is homeinstead.com. For our caregivers, so a lot of caregivers do need some support as well for respite. Maybe there's a lot of stress involved with being a caregiver for somebody. So we also have our website online called caregiverstress.com to have resources available for dealing with dementia, dealing with Alzheimer's, creating a plan, and just resources wherever you are at in that care plan.
Wonderful. Well, Andrea, it's been a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you for sharing what Home Instead is to us. Peel back a lot of layers, taught me a lot, certainly, and about your story, which was most impactful for me. And I think your story makes a lot of sense to me as to why you are doing what you are doing out there and dedicating so much time and energy to helping other people. I think it's fantastic. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you. And thank you for everything that you do as well with the addictions clinic as well, because that's not a very easy job as well. And thank you for being patient with everybody you see. And you, I bet, are a very, very non-judgmental person as well, because it takes a non-judgmental person to do what you do as well.
I appreciate that.
That's incredible.
I'm trying. There's still some judgments in me, but I'm trying. But I really appreciate you saying that, Andrea. Until we talk again, you have a great day.
Thank you. You as well. Pleasure.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Midhurst. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpmidhurst.com. That's gnpmidhurst.com, or call 705-413-3775.